If you're interested in sailboats, then you're in the same boat with me. This is where I locate boats. I go on location and do repairs for other people. I teach you how to do repairs on boats for other people or even boats for yourself. We'll locate boats that are being given away, and we'll restore quite a few boats that are my own. You see, I collect boats, pleasure boats, racing boats. So here's where it is. Welcome aboard.
Okay, for the small spots that have been sanded down, now I've mixed up a touch-up color to equal this bone color that's on the side of the vessel, and we're going to use a spray applicator, just a little touch-up spot applicator, not sponsored by anybody, so I'm going to Justin Wilson that and keep it behind me. Okay, let's just hope this all works out. You want a nice thick coat put on with your spray. But not so thick that you get runs. Now, because this is not a fan spray, you do want to go multiple directions on this so that when it cures you can come back and do a light water sanding, smooth it down, and buff it out. And I hope that this little tiny can has enough compressed gas of whatever it is it uses to do this touch-up. Quit letting off the trigger, I guess, and just keep it moving. Pretty good match if I do say so myself. Trying to keep track of how much I got left in the mix. I don't want to run out. Now you have to allow for curing time. Let those spots that were rubbed through completely to the fiberglass cure up. Then you water sand that again. Then it's ready for buffing, waxing, and a new owner. Initials are TG. You guys will get to meet her on the delivery video, hopefully. Okay, going to recap on what we've done here. We've taken a vessel that's been damaged by rubbing up and down the dock. We've sanded down the scratches in the gel coat. We've prepped them, cleaned them, taped off the water line so that we didn't get any gel coat that had been set up to match the bone color that is on the vessel. I know everybody thinks it's white, but you have to look at your colors. And I'm going to create a color matching system for everybody. There will be some of you that won't be able to match colors well. There are certain color blindnesses traits. I'm trying to word this properly, but there's certain color blindness traits that people have that they don't know about. And you can get around that. You can have a friend help you. So anyway, I've matched this as closely as possible. And you can see some of the sandings taking some of the shine out, because I did sand a larger area that I'm taking care of. So I move over into these areas and I get them all set up and ready for prep and to sand them and buff them. Now I've given it 48 hours of curing time. And the reason I go with the longer curing time is you can get in here and start sanding and gum up your paper some. So you need to address that. So I try to save money by not wasting abrasive papers. So in these steps, what I'm doing is I'm setting myself up for less physical labor, even though it does take a little long to get it out of the boatyard here. So this is mine, but we're going to be selling it, and it's going to have a new owner. She's already said that the money is guaranteed. She wants it. There's no doubt about it. So this is going to wind up being somebody else's new vessel. So this is going to get a life with someone else. So I want to make sure that when I pass a vessel on to someone else, that the vessel is as perfect as I can have it. Because during this COVID time, I'm trying to build myself a new business. And I'm trying to work my way out of all this landscaping I've been doing for, 10 years now straight. So I want to kind of back out of that and get into something that's a little less strenuous. And buying and selling sailboats, maybe even renting them out, will be a little more lucrative income, and it will be a more residual income once I get the rental business started up. So come on, join me, and we're going to take care of this vessel. And we're just going to concentrate on this one spot for right now, because if you want to watch a bunch of sanding, then you want to watch Mads, because he does a bunch of old glorious sanding. So basically, you start out with a little abrasive paper, and yes, use a block, and this is 180 grit. See if you can see that. Not sponsored by 3M. Wouldn't turn them down if they offered me something though. So we're going to start with a little 180 and your hand. Put it in your block, and yes, you want a block for the simple reason you don't want to have finger lines in and out, because it will show up on your reflection whenever you do get the buffing this out. Just lightly water sand, or color sand, as it is often called, until you see the orange peel come out, because we use those little touch-up cans. You can't adjust your spray pressure, so you will have a little orange peel. That's why you put it on exceedingly thick. And plus, you want that coat of resin that's got the color in it to give you the protection on your glass itself. So you want a little bit of a heavy coat put on, and then whenever you sand it off, now you may have to do an additional coat on this, just depending on how bad your orange peel was from those little touch-up cans. Then sometimes you can get away with it, and it'll come out good first try. So your bare hand, you're just feeling for any rough spots. If it's not smooth, then you're not there. But with the 180, I'm going right out to the edge of my color patch and blending it in. And what we'll achieve with that is, whenever I run the buffer across it, the high and lows won't be showing different reflections like a funhouse mirror. Not even sure if I'm in camera frame here when you're looking at the side of my big old fat head. But I may be putting a pound of pressure, maybe 2, against the side of the vessel. I'm just letting the abrasive do the work. I'm not trying to force it into it, because actually this is part of the finishing. And I'll change directions. You'll see I do swirls, I'll do up and down, I'll do side to side. And what that gives me is a layer of scratches in the paper, or not in the paper, from the paper into the gel coat. And I'm testing right now to make sure it is actually cured, because you don't want to start rolling globs of wet plastic up into your abrasive paper, because then you're just gliding across it on the globs of gel coat that haven't truly cured. Did this in the evening when the temperature was dropping. We're getting up to 99 degrees today with a heat index of over 100. So I don't want to do any gel coat or fiberglass in temperatures like that. But if you have to, an age-old trick that I learned from an old timer was to simply put your epoxy or resin, whatever you're using, into a bucket of ice. Those old cheap, used to be $1, nothing's $1 anymore, polystyrene coolers with a little ice around it, and that'll keep your gel coat or fiberglass, either one, from getting hot and flashing off, because it keeps it below its curing temperature until it's applied. And then because it's applied while cool, it takes it just a little bit longer to actually harden up. And the advantage you get from this is so beneficial. Because it gives you working time, and you don't have stuff gumming up your spray gun if you're using one. You don't have stuff hardening in the cup and hardening on the applicator. And you can work a little longer during the day. So that is a trick that I employ. Getting as bad as that news anchor this morning. He was reading everything off the teleprompter wrong. I'm not fortunate enough to have a teleprompter out here. I'm just trying to tell you the story of what I'm doing from memory. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. You may not see it on camera, but I was just a little light on my yellow and red application to my color mix. But it's so close, because if you get in one light they match, but if you're straight on, it's just a little different in the tone of color there. And your bone is simple. It's just a little red and yellow or orange, and sometimes some of them actually have a little bit of blue added in there, which is way less than the yellow and orange. Now, sneaking up on a color in the cup is the best way to achieve a color match before you add your hardeners. So if you've got red, yellow, and blue, you can make almost any color there is. Now, sometimes you gotta have the clear gel coat, and I do have some of that. And you'll need the clear or neutral gel coat. for doing the water lines or your dark blues, but if you need an opaque color like bone, you can start out with the white gel coat, or you'll have to start out with the white gel coat, or you'll have to add a lot of white to your opaque neutral. Now, if you're doing this the first time and you accidentally sand through your gel coat application back to the fiberglass again, don't even be upset. Just go ahead, get your 180 grit, rough up the whole area, then apply more coats. Wait till it's cured, and you should be able to take your fingernail and just scratch down it. And I don't advise using anything else, but you can use your old stir stick, and you can touch in it, and you can turn it on its corner, and you can touch it, and if it sinks in, then you know you're not cured. So you got a little indentation there where you stuck your stick. Fingernail works good because you can actually feel the gel coat starting to give or be sticky or tacky, whatever, and you can stop. Now, if your gel coat didn't set up thoroughly or completely, you can go back over it with PVA and lock it in. And sometimes that'll help you get a cure. Now, your hardener that sets this off, your MEKP, if it does not go off, you need to get new, because that will go bad on you. And ultraviolet light will actually break it down. So those little clear bottles that everybody keeps it in to measure it, you don't want to store it in direct light, because any kind of UV light will break that down, because it is hydrogen and oxygen. So what you have is a really strong peroxide. And if you leave peroxide in sunlight, it's H2O2. It'll turn back into H2O because you lose that extra oxygen molecule. And that extra oxygen molecule is what picks the moisture up and carries it out of your gel coat or your resin, either one. And what you'll wind up with is a moisture in your gel coat. And that can change colors on it. I've seen clear coats go on, and the clear coats would dry hazy or cloudy. And the guy at the body shop didn't know what it was. He just didn't understand how to fix it, and he didn't know he was doing this to all of his stuff. Now that hardened, but because it had that moisture, it hardened hazy. So it wasn't a good finish. And with that being said, I was able to go into the guy that had the bass boat, had the clear coat on it. I was able to go into him and tell him, hey, I can fix that for you, and I'll come to you. And he said, well, let me bring it to your shop. I said, no, I'm not open to the public. I said, I'll come to you, and that way I don't have to pay my county $700 to have a zoning hearing. And he completely understood, because that's kind of an infringement on our freedom to them have a business. Whenever they tell you, oh yeah, you can have a business, but you got to pay us $700 and let us have a hearing for it. And then they can say, oh no, that business, your neighbors won't like it. So North Carolina's not that great of a place. Well, Lincoln County is not that great of a place to try to start a business if you're a small startup, because they want to get in your pocket first day. Now, why everything I work on is either mine or I go to the location and work on it. Because I'm not giving anybody my hard-earned money for them to sit on their fat keisters and do nothing. That's what I like about Texas. I want to start a business in Texas. That's a freedom place. You can start it right on up. Being real careful now. I've changed out the paper. I did have a little bit of gummy gel coat, so I had some uncured gel coat there that I sanded into. But it seems to be coming off fairly decent now. But you can see the amount of time that you put into a spot that is about 1 foot by 1 foot. And right now, it is actually ready to move on to a finer grit paper because I've got all of the what's called orange peel texture out of it from that little spray can, touch-up can. So if you're going to go out and you're going to do little jobs like this, it'd be best if you had several jobs lined up. That way you're busy every day. Because with this, what I'll be doing tomorrow is I'll be doing the landscaping tomorrow. And after I get done here, I'll be going and doing the clubhouse over at Lake Norman Community Sailing Club. I'll be doing some painting over there until it gets so hot that the brush starts letting the paint dry on it. And moving gel coat and all that good stuff. So I'm staying busy. I'm doing a lot of things. Not sure how this looks on camera. Because it's a white surface, it's hard to see imperfections. And that's one reason that the boat industry went with mostly white hulls on their gel coat and with blue boot and waterline stripes. So, hope I haven't bored you guys too much. Now we're ready to go to a finer grit paper. And you'll just keep working your way down, finer grit and finer grit. I'll work my way down from 180 to maybe 250 to 400, then 800, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then I'll throw the buffer on it, and I'll buff it all out, and then I'll wax the hull. And it's important that before you mix your color and match your color to get a good color match, it's important that you do what I did and give this thing a light sanding to get any oxidation off of the vessel. And then you're going to want to go back and do a buff over that. So you're going to have to sand it down like it's finished. Buff it. That'll get any of this runny black that you get from tannic acid from the trees being nearby that blows in the wind. And you'll just keep going down finer and finer grit, which is a higher and higher number. And when you finally get to the point to where it almost looks like a mirror finish, you're almost at the point of perfection. So you want to go ahead at that point and run your buffer on it, and then you want to wax it. And then after you wax it, you're ready to enjoy your vessel. But always, always keep a good coat of wax on your sailboats, or on any of your fiberglass boats for that matter, because the wax is going to wind up protecting the gel coat, and it'll last you much longer. Now this is a 1980s S2. It is a 24-foot vessel. It has a 3-foot keel, so it can go into fairly shallow water. And it is a fixed keel. It doesn't swing up. So this is fairly decent for coastal cruising. And with its water tank, and it has a little porta potty in it, I mean, you can enjoy a week or even more in the boat. It's got a little alcohol stove in there, so you can go around, make you a couple meals, whatever, and you can enjoy sailing. Hey guys, I'm going to end this video here, and we'll come back on the final for Gelcoat. This is Phil with Pop's Old Boats. Thanks for viewing. Like, subscribe, and follow, because I need more subscribers, guys.